back. I was reminded to remind our viewers that this is also available in Spanish. So please let your Spanish-speaking friends know that they can also join us in all these dimensions. So before the break, we were working with the holographic, or the seventh dimension. And Mark often calls it God consciousness. And it's because it has the perspective from everywhere, as God would. And sometimes if you've had a meditation and because people ask me this, they go, I was meditating and I see this eye floating around, or the single eye in the pyramid. That's actually the symbol that you've made it into that holographic dimension. It's the all-seeing eye, which means that you have all perspectives. Just to let you know. And someone was saying about that holographic experience that there was light everywhere. When we're fractals, when we're holographic, everything is multiplied, everything is increased. So the conductivity of light, right now we get light from the sun, is singular. But imagine the conductivity of light in the higher dimensions if you are everywhere, if your awareness is fractal everywhere. So the holographic dimension is the step that sets the foundation for our quantum universe. Now the quantum dimension, the eighth dimension, again, totally different. So in the beginning, the dimensions didn't change so much. Now every dimension is leap years away from the previous one. So let's look at our map again. Quantum consciousness. It turns everything upside down and inside out. What we thought is real isn't. What we thought is, everything is a probability, a possibility. We open up into infinity. We open up into worlds that can't be comprehended. So when we got to the sixth dimension, I said, say goodbye to the bells and whistles and the experiences. Now I'd like you to say goodbye to comprehension. It can't be comprehended. And if it could be comprehended, you would be comprehending it from the structures of your lower levels. So again, the more we can be disrupted, the more we feel we are in the quantum universe. So it's like traveling into a world of probable realities. So let's see how he started it. How Mark, he always takes me somewhere so I begin to get a taste of what's next. We worked in the quantum dimension, the eighth dimension, for 5 years. 5 years. And you know, everyone says, where's the ninth? Where's the ninth? We weren't ready, the eighth dimension. So this is the thought experiment that Mark gave me. He said, and so I'm going to have you all do it. He said, imagine that the energies are coming into you as fast as they possibly can. And you can't turn them away, and you can't slow them down. So here you are as a being, and you can be holographic if you want. That buys you a little more time. And the energy is coming. So imagine this thought experiment. Endless energy coming into you. You can't get rid of it. You can't turn it around. You can't radiate it out. And it keeps coming. It keeps coming. And then there's a point at which something happens. Now, most of you will say, I just explode. And that's the most normal thing, but what I felt is it kept coming and coming and coming, and all of a sudden, I was full of little black holes. And the energy just went into all these little black holes and went into another universe. I go, whoa, where did that go? That was cool. And Mark said, that's the quantum universe. It's going through black holes, quantum holes, into other realities that aren't real, aren't energetic. They are probable realities. So you may have exploded, or you may have felt that some gateways, these black holes are gateways to the quantum universe, the universe that can't be comprehended and is possibilities. So you can imagine we're going to have to do some quick reformatting of our whole brain in order to follow that energy into the quantum world. You know, our scientists, they postulate that at the other side of black holes, well, time and space ends. Time and space gets annihilated at a black hole. And they postulate that on the other side there must be a white hole. All that matter must spew out into some other form somewhere else, but we don't know because our instrumentation can't take us through black holes. But our consciousness can. We just have to learn to reformat it. And we can actually leave the physical world, leave the time-space world, and go into a world of quantum possibilities. Now, it gets harder and harder to draw this, but I'm going to try. So it's the 8th dimension. So I draw it as a big 8, but I draw it as a strange 8. Well, that's stranger than I meant it to be. So we're going to say this is the Earth. This is our world, our physical world. So below this is our physical world. And this place, this doorway between our world and this is what I'll call the quantum void. Quantum void. So like when all the energies had to come into me and they then went out through these different gateways, we're going to pretend that there's one black hole. But really, Bruce Lipton and other scientists are finding that we have black holes in our cells, in our atoms, that there's not just a black hole. But for the purposes of our first journey into the quantum reality, we're going to go to the door. So we get all this energy, and we stand at the door of the quantum universe. And when we're all ready, we're going to then move through. You can imagine this is the white hole of the black hole. We're going to move into this space, the quantum emptiness. And here's this great video of what it's going to feel like. So the first part, the 8th dimension, actually has 2 aspects. There's the aspect of the quantum void, and that's wonderful. It's like the 6th dimension, only nicer, because it really is empty. The 6th dimension was infinite. This is empty. And it's empty in a whole new way, and so we're going to stay there long enough so that whole new way gets impregnated into our consciousness, and our consciousness begins to lock onto that and grasp that whole new way. So we're going to go into the quantum void. And then, after that, the second aspect of the quantum space is multiple probable realities. So we go into this world, and we can exit through any door we want. So we see a door, I call it doors. We see a door there, we can exit into that world, we can exit into this world. So there's infinite worlds that can be entered into from the quantum void. Let me draw it another way. I like to say that in 2012 there was a shift from linearity to a quantum multidimensional aspect for all of humanity. So here's linear time. It was marching along, evolution happened, things were good until about 2012. I'm just going to say that's it. It wasn't exactly then. And all of a sudden, tomorrow isn't just a projection of yesterday. It's not linear anymore. Now, tomorrow could be here, or here, or here. And each of these possibilities could have a possibility there and there. So we could have timelines and possibilities going anywhere. So this is the space that humanity is in that we've never been before. It is messy, but it's messy. Where things aren't predictable and you can move through time-space. See the space between these different timelines? That's the quantum void. And each of these is a different timeline. So we can create different lives, different possibilities. We can explore the quantum universe. We go from here, we go into the void. There's a picture of the void. Here's a picture of the void, the space between. And then we choose the world we want to experience. Some people call it quantum jumping. Now, what we want to do, what I wanted to do when I first found this is, oh, wow, I can go here and I can have this life I always wanted. This life here. Wow. There I am, really, really. And so, one of the first times we were playing in this quantum dimension, Mark said, he goes, okay, I want you to get yourself really, really light, and then we're going to go into the quantum void, and you just hang out there. Just hang out, and I like hanging out a bit. And then he said, then one of these doors, the one that's your highest and best, is just going to call you to it. It might feel like a star or a light, and it's just going to call you to it. You can't decide what it is. And you just go and be with whatever that universe is. And as you're with it, even if you don't see much, so it's not so concrete, but you might feel just wonderful. Then you're in training with wonderfulness, and now that's the most likely possibility that you will create in your life. So this is about creating new possibilities in your life from the sea of probable realities. So the quantum void is a place of pre-manifest potential. So there's nothing here, but you have this pre-birth feeling that everything is possible here. It's just not quite manifest. So it's a beautiful place to hang out. And then in one moment, it can be manifest. So I was doing the meditation. I was sitting in my chair, and I'd just gotten divorced, and we go up there, and I see this beautiful light, and I go travel to the light, and it was lovely, and I didn't do anything. And then I finished a little early, and the rest of the group were still meditating. So I say to Mark in my head, I go, Mark, that was a really nice light. That felt so good, and my life's kind of crappy right now. I said, what was that light? And he doesn't answer, so I fill in the blank. I go, maybe it's a new car. And I hear Mark say, it's not a new car, Jonette. Okay. And I go, because, I still have time, and I say to Mark again, I go, maybe it's a new house, because I'm living in my brother's basement. It's not a new house, Jonette. Well, I didn't know what else I needed right then, so I says, well, what is that like? Because it felt so good. He goes, it's a new life. I realized I would have settled for a car. So what we want to do here, what our ego wants to do, is plan what we get from this. You can't do that. You go in with the highest vibrations you have, because the vibrations you enter with are the vibrations that show you the doors. Because if you enter all grumbly and unhappy, the only doors you're going to see are what? The ones that make you grumbly and unhappy. So you enter this space the highest way possible, and then you see what the universe wants to give you. The very first chapter of the Soul Body Fusion book, quote Mark is saying this: humans are big on choosing what you want to see after the transformation. But in this transformation, you don't even have to choose the outcome, because the outcome is impossible to choose from the limitation of you as a chooser. So, we've got all these possibilities, and let's see how I say this. The universe wants to give you what you say you want. So if you say, You know, life's just so hard. You go into this space because you're well trained. You hang out in this unmanifest reality. And then you say to yourself, oh, but life's just so hard. So the universe, it only shows you doors where life is really hard. And the universe says, oh, really hard life? We have a whole world for that. Happy life? Yeah, we got a whole world for that. Miraculous life? Wow, we have a whole world for that. So we can have an intention, but it needs to be a soft intention. You can't, this is what I want, universe, because then all the other probable realities collapse. So we know from physics that when we experience one reality, when I pick this one, all the other realities collapse, and we have, this is our experience. That's how it is in the 8th dimension. So then this is what we get to have. Quantum jumping is also part of moving around the universe. Time travel, bilocation, all of a sudden having miracles happen, miraculous healings. All of those happen because you go from this world into the world of unmanifest potential, and you find, or it finds you, the manifest potential that you choose out of the infinite sea of possibilities. So, now, we're going to talk about the 8th and 9th dimension together and then do one meditation, because what I have found is once we get you here, there's no getting you back for a long time. So, what's the 9th dimension then? The 9th dimension is like, there's a difference between the 6th dimension and the 7th dimension. So the 6th dimension was everything was big and infinite, and the 7th dimension, everything broke apart in a hologram. So in the 9th dimension, the worlds don't collapse. So I can pick this world, but all these other probable realities are realities. Now your physicists call it the many worlds theory. They say that every reality exists somewhere. So the 9th dimension is about multiple probable realities. And I'm not even going to say multiple parallel realities because they're way too messy. They're not parallel at all. Now, the 9th dimension is very hard to grasp because how can you grasp too many realities? It's hard enough to grasp these brilliant ones. But what happens is in your trying to grasp that there are all these other dimensions, again, it breaks you apart in a new way. It breaks you up. You know, people have breakdowns. This is a break up. And it gives us a sense of the allness of the world. When we're in this space, the quantum void or the 6th dimension, we feel oneness. We feel this homogeneous, beautiful, expanded space. And we love it. And some people never go any higher than that. But when you get to having multiple dimensions and you can feel them there, what happens is you go to what I call allness. So you can feel the individuality of everyone, but you can feel it as part of oneness. So I use the analogy, the difference between oneness, which we think of as a very high state, but allness is actually a higher state, is the difference between a cream soup and a stew. Right? In the stew, you still have the peas and carrots and the pieces of meat. And all together, they create something beautiful that's different than the peas and the carrots on their own. So, and a cream soup is all blended up. So we're moving through the cream soup stage into the stew stage, where we can feel the different realities. They all make up something that's together, but the uniqueness is still there and beautiful. Now imagine how we blossom when we see our uniqueness in relationship to everything else, and we see the relationship of, and we see everyone else's beautiful uniqueness. As you can imagine, I had a hard time finding ways to draw this, In the 5 years that we were in the 8th dimension, Mark had to entertain us because we weren't ready to move on, so he had to find things for us to do every week. Next dimension, I'm going to be taller. So, we sat down to meditate, and Mark says, first there is love. Okay. And then he said, these were weird words. He said, when love is enough, then you move to the next level. When love is enough. The next level, so point 1 is love. Point 2 is wisdom. When we always start with love, the next step is wisdom, knowing. He said, once we are founded in love and wisdom, we can move to the next point that's the base of all realities. Point 3, power. He said the problem with power in our world is it hasn't been founded on love and wisdom. Power has been founded on control. It's been based on our 3D reality of struggle and duality. And he said once we have power that's founded in love and wisdom, that's true power. And this is where we're going to a sense of true power. He goes, once you have this triangle, this base, love, wisdom, power, all the teachers, you read all the ancient wisdom teachings, love, wisdom, power is the basis. So after we worked with that for a few years, he said, okay, and then there's a point that you have a triangle that's the base, and then it supports a triangle or a point on top. Point on top, creation. In this quantum world, love, wisdom, power gives us creation. And someone pointed out to me, and I love this, he says, all right, you go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. This is the implied geometry that is in evolution or is in growth. This is the basic geometry of almost every sacred object, and you can see because this is movable. So then Mark was very clever, and he said, with just one more point, you can make a torus. So you make this little point down here, and that connects, right? Same thing. Well, I can't draw that. So, and then he asked us, well, what do you suppose that other point is? Because then that makes movement down here. Same thing, creation. There's only creation as the outflow of love, wisdom, and power. So this was all part of his teaching of the 8th dimension. So again, 2 aspects of the 8th dimension, the quantum void, manifest potential, and let's talk about the 9th dimension then. Infinite simultaneous realities. It blasts open our brain. It opens us to input from dimensions way above the 10th and 11th. And it changes what we can expect in life. When we become quantum multidimensional beings, we live in a place of power. We live in a place of unpredictability. We live in a place of miracles where anything is possible at any time. It can just be woven. It can be chosen. What's important in the 9th dimension is that our perspective goes away. Like when we were holographic, we couldn't have a perspective when we were holographic. When you are exposed to infinite potentials, all manifest, the many worlds theory, you cannot be committed to any particular reality. That ejects you into God consciousness. That is the kind of consciousness that is universal and gets you out of mortality, humanity, into something much more. but we're still human. So it makes our human life shinier, more certain. As Mark often says, we have uncaused well-being. We don't look for the cause of our joy to be around us. We are its cause. When we started talking about this quantum world, the 8th and 9th dimensions, I would ask people, I said, give me some examples of quantum things that have happened in your life. Because it's not just way out there. We all have these examples. And I told you one of going to a past life and they saw us. One friend said he was driving on a snowy day. His car came up over a hill on an icy road and there was a snowplow right there. He said his car vaporized, moved through the snowplow, and they both found themselves on either side of each other without having done damage. Quantum can't be explained in our 3D world, but you just jump from one world to another where you're on the other side of a snowplow. Another one that I found was interesting is a Norwegian friend said she was up on the rigging of a sail, and the sail started moving and she fell. She would have fallen into the sea, but she found herself landing above the place she had fallen from. So I say those stories because I've heard so many. We want to live in a world of quantum potential. So we're going to do a meditation to feel the quantum void, which is wonderful. We're going to feel some of the doorways open of manifest potentials that we can choose. And then we're going to feel, we don't have to feel it too long, but the 9th dimension of simultaneous realities where nothing collapses and everything is there bombarding us. Because what that does is opens us. We can't be the same person when we are sensing all the realities is when we're only sensing one. So again, it opens us to our multidimensional self. When Mark first took us to the 9th dimension, he said the most important thing is balance. He said, before you enter this place where you have multiple or infinite simultaneous realities, imagine yourself so balanced in the universe that you could balance a freight train on the whisker of a kitten. That's balance. So let's imagine. So what this meditation will do will open up our awareness software. It will have us entrain with much higher worlds than we had available before, and it predisposes us to have incredible balance. You have to be balanced when you're in all these worlds. So this one, again, it's hard to comprehend. We don't want comprehension. We just want you to go, expand, feel what's there. There's no right or wrong. And again, our inner software begins to change. Our consciousness entrains to these high spaces, and we change. We get downloaded with new abilities. 8th and 9th dimensions. It took us 25 years to do what we're doing in a few hours. And because we did it for 25 years, those stepping stones are pretty strong. And because you're doing it, they're going to be a lot stronger for the next people. So I always start in my heart. Go to that space. It is our quantum doorway, always our heart. Welcome, explorers. This is Mark. For a few minutes, don't do anything. We'll take care of the energies behind the scene. Let your mind erase. Erase. And now imagine that the energy is building. Propelling you to that doorway, that black hole. The black hole sucks all time and space into it, but you're going to stay there at the door once you find it. We're going to wait to go together into that quantum void. So you might feel that everything compels you to stand in a new doorway. A doorway to the great unknown. And as we wait here in the doorway, we become prepared. The part of us that knows how to be a quantum being comes back to us. We stay here on this pregnant edge from this world to another world. And when we feel we can't hold this edge any longer, we allow ourselves to fall inside into the great void, into the space beyond time and space, the quantum emptiness. We just be in the quantum void of unmanifest potential, feeling the power of the potential, but having no need to create or explore anything. This is the still point. The 0 point your physicists talk about. And we'll spend quite a few minutes in this null space, the 0 point. Place of pre-creation. We are there in that ultimate silence. Just allowing this 0 point to impress itself upon you so you become the unmanifest potentials of the universe. You become all possibilities. As you relax here, you fundamentally change. The quantum still point changes you. You hold all possibilities. You are creator. The still point is the beginning of everything. Come back to the still point to find yourself and to lose yourself. Come back here. And yet, we're physical beings with lives and dreams and hopes. And so from this still point, from this quantum void, imagine that so many amazing possibilities beckon to you. And imagine that magnetically, as if light finding light, you are drawn out of the void into a place of new creation. Follow the light, follow your impressions, and find yourself exploring alternate realities. Be an explorer now. You're not deciding your fate, you're simply exploring. What opens up? What does it feel like? Is there anything to see? Is there anything to know? Let your highest possible futures draw you into them without needing to know anything. Trusting you're magnetic to the highest possible quantum outcome. Trusting it will unfold. Feel power here. Power. Not effort or struggle, but power. Based on love and based on wisdom. Feel the powerful being you are. Remembering. In this first journey, we're not looking for specifics. Simply the sense of discovery, the sense of exploring. The sense of quantum awe. And when you're ready to be expanded even more, claim even more of your multidimensional wisdom, then imagine that all the possibilities in all the universes are operating simultaneously. as you move to what we call the ninth dimension, quantum simultaneous realities. The point is to allow yourself to be overwhelmed. And in that overwhelm, your higher self creates strategies for reorganizing your intelligence, your spirit. Everything is possible. Everything is manifest. There is no good or bad in the universe. There's infinite choices. The ninth dimension can be a bit uncomfortable. It's something that in the first time it's really impossible to smooth it down, and that's fine. What feels like disharmony will find a higher order. A higher order than you can imagine. You begin to know that life is not a singularity and there can be no mortality. You begin to have a perspective far higher and far wiser than the one you started with today. What if you could fully embody love and wisdom and power, knowing yourself as creator? Would you worry a little bit less and smile a lot more? And what if you can hold this field so strongly that it finds others who hold this field also, creating a resonant space of transformation that lifts others out of their dark holes and begins to bring humanity to a golden age? There is no need for linearity when you embrace the quantum possibilities. Can you join the guides and angels and masters in holding this reality as so? We invite you to go to these spaces of the quantum world as explorers, not as those who've decided what you want to get out of it. Can you let go of what you want to get out of something and simply be? Can you trust the universe enough that you don't have to control at these quantum levels? As you come home here, it downloads into you, and you will find more and more miracles. You'll find that your everythingness changes. Is that worth letting go of what you thought you wanted? And let your mind be quiet again, finding once again that quantum still point. We're here, everything is healed, everything is whole and holy. There is nothing to do at the higher dimensions. So breathe yourself, breathe your body into this space. Breathe your soul into this space. Knowing that something has shifted, but because something shifted, you have no reference point for the old anymore. So you'll never know what changed. And there is no need. So coming back more and more. And no, you don't leave it. These dimensions enfold into you. They restructure you and they stay within. So in the beginning we visit these dimensions, but after a while we are these dimensions. That's the point. So breathe yourself here. And I'll read a quote that was channeled from a goddess named Ashtatara. I invite humans to give up the vision of what you think you want, so the vision of possibilities may be unlimited. To hold in your heart the reality of a discontinuous transfiguration. Welcome to the breakthrough states of the 8th and 9th dimension, quantum consciousness, where all the rules of the lower worlds are upside down, where instead of order moving to chaos in entropy, chaos moves to order in a divine intelligence.